Today on Public Eye News, Marquette's looking to ban marijuana establishments, and the latest on Michigan Rep. John Dingell.
Later, Caleb Rydell will give us our weather, and Todd Rose has the latest on NMU sports. Hi, I'm Jillian Wormlinger.
And I'm Grant Lukens, and this is Public Eye News. NMU former alumna Elizabeth Mower's first published book, titled A Promise Remembered, is set to release on March 1st. The book is a love story about a man who returned to his hometown in Michigan only to fall in love with his high school sweetheart. Mower said she took heavy inspiration from the town of Marquette and the Lake Superior shoreline. And the Michigan Department of Natural Resources trail officials are advising snowmobilers to use extra caution when riding due to weather-related hazards. The ice storm knocked down trees and branches on state-managed trails. Riders should expect icy conditions and downed or hanging branches. Trail number 418 in Alger County, east of Autrain, is currently rerouted due to heavy rain causing water to flow down the trail. More rough weather is in the forecast in the future, so again, drivers are urged to watch for maintenance workers and changing trail conditions.
The Marquette City Commission could move closer Monday to prohibiting marijuana establishments in the city for now. The commission enacted an opt-out ordinance to allow time for the Department of Regulatory Affairs to establish rules and then evaluate whether or allow some or all the types of marijuana businesses to operate in the city. Michigan voters approved Proposal 1 in November, which legalized recreational marijuana. It allows people 21 and older to grow and use marijuana products, and later, commissioners are expected to schedule a public hearing for its next regular meeting on the ordinance. And Shopko has released a statement regarding the announcement on Wednesday that they will be closing additional stores in the UP. They announced the closure of an additional 139 Shopko and Shopko hometown stores. They will relocate approximately 50 optical centers in closing stores to new freestanding locations. Shopko has released a more extensive list of store closures, and those include several locations in the Upper Peninsula, such as stores in Marquette, Houghton, Escanaba, and other major cities.
The leader of the Cleveland Cliffs said over the phone that he's close to announcing the resurgence of the Empire Mine in Richmond Township. Lorenzo Goncalves announced the company would either use the mine or expand operations in Minnesota. Lobbying by upper Michigan leaders may have paid off, though. Goncalves didn't give a timeline for when the official announcement will come. During the same conference call, Goncalves stated it was another great year for the Cleveland Cliffs, with more than $1.1 billion in net income. And former Michigan Rep. John Dingell, the longest-serving member of Congress in American history, has died at the age of 92. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell says her husband died at his home on Thursday. Dingell was nicknamed Big John for his imposing 6'3" frame. Some laws Dingell supported was Medicare, the Clean Water Act, and the Endangered Species Act. Dingell was first elected in 1955 and served until his wife replaced him after his retirement in 2014. And after the break, we'll have your national and international news. Stay tuned.
Coming up this week on High School Bowl, we do something special, kicking off by Cerebral 16 at a special time. In our first game, the Houghton Gremlins take on the Westwood Patriots. Hi, I'm Jim Koski, and then in our second match, the Sault Ste. Marie Blue Devils take on the Calumet Copper Kings. The Cerebral 16 coming up this Saturday night at 7, a special time, right here on Public TV 13.
And welcome back. Chief Justice John Roberts broke with the Supreme Court's conservative justices and his own voting record on abortion in order to block a Louisiana law requiring abortion providers to have admitting privileges at a nearby hospital. It was the fourth time in recent weeks that Roberts held the vote on 5-4 outcomes that otherwise split the court's conservative and liberal justices. Yesterday, before the court acted on the Louisiana law, Roberts voted to deny a Muslim death row inmate's plea to have his inam with him for his execution in Alabama. The final vote was the order to keep Louisiana's admitting privileges law on hold while the court decides whether to add the case to its calendar. Already on the calendar for next term is the court's first examination of gun rights in 9 years. That decision, as well as the Louisiana case, could come in the spring of 2020. And Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker spent weeks preparing for today's oversight hearing in front of the House Judiciary Committee. He's facing questions about his oversight of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Nicole Killian reports from Capitol Hill.
Acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker arrived on Capitol Hill ready to answer questions, just not all of them.
I will continue the long-standing executive branch practice of not disclosing information that may be subject to executive privilege, such as the contents of conversations with the president.
Whitaker wasn't going to show up after Democrats approved a subpoena if he didn't answer all their questions, but the committee chairman dropped the threat last night.
Now that you are here and prepared to testify, I agree there's no need for us to resort to that measure for now.
Democrats are still pressing Whitaker on his oversight of Special Counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation.
Have you ever been asked to approve any request or action to be taken by the special counsel?
Mr. Chairman, I see that your 5 minutes is up, and so
Answer the question, please.
there has been no event, no decision that has required me to take any action, and I have not interfered in any way with the special counsel's investigation.
Republicans say today's hearing has little to do with congressional oversight of the Department of Justice.
That this is nothing more than a character assassination, and we're going to also decide to see if we can just do something and get at the president while we're had the chance.
Whitaker's time as acting attorney general is likely coming to an end soon, with the Senate expected to confirm President Trump's attorney general nominee William Barr next week. Nicole Killian, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Australian police arrested 6 people after what was described as the largest bust of methamphetamine headed from the United States to Australia. 3,800 pounds of meth were seized by customs. The drugs are hidden in metal boxes labeled as loudspeakers. This amount of drugs would have provided 17 million hits of ice, an Australian street term for meth. U.S. Border Customs and Australian Customs are working together, is what stopped the, quote, tsunami of ice from entering the country, end quote. Both countries believe that the Mexican cartel is now targeting Australia because of the new market potential. And a teenager from Spain has turned his love for Legos into a life-changing invention. He's created a prosthetic arm out of the colorful blocks. CBS's Tina Kraus has the story from London.
David Aguilar has been building Legos since he was 5, locking pieces together with just one hand because he was born without his lower arm.
As a child, I was very nervous to be in front of other guys because I was different.
But that didn't stop the Spanish teenager from building a brighter future.
This is the first prosthetic. I call it the MK1 because it looks like an Iron Man arm.
The fully functional robotic arm, made out of Legos, bends and flexes and is powered by an electric motor.
I can move it like this.
The 19-year-old bioengineering student has built 4 models of the Lego limb. The young inventor runs a YouTube channel under the nickname Hand Solo to show people with disabilities that nothing is impossible.
I can understand how people feel when they feel bad about themselves.
Once David finishes college, his dream is to make more Lego prosthetics for those who can't afford traditional replacements.
To make them feel like a normal person.
David expects his obsession with Lego to continue. After all, it's now part of him. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
And after this break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
Several years ago, former Senator Gretchen Whitmer did analysis of the governor's State of the State. The next time you see her here on Michigan Public TV, Governor Whitmer will deliver her first State of the State. She'll talk about fixing the roads, beefing up your child's education, and how she intends to mold a strong bipartisan working relationship with the Republican-controlled legislature. Coverage and analysis of Governor Whitmer's State of the State on this PBS station.
Tuesday night at 7 on Public TV 13.
Welcome back. I'm Caleb Rydell, going to be taking you through your weather for today. As you can see behind me on the NMU campus, we got a little bit of sun peeking out from those clouds, but it is still quite cloudy out there, and we got that snow, of course, that we got about 10 inches around last night. So we have some clouds out there right now with a temperature of 10 degrees, winds out of the west-northwest at 18 miles per hour, barometric pressure of 30.26 inches and rising. Taking a look tonight, we're going to see partly cloudy out there with a low of 4 degrees, winds out of the west-northwest at 19 miles per hour. And then tomorrow we're going to see mostly sunny. That sun's going to poke out again, and we're going to have a high of 16 and winds out of the southwest at 5 miles per hour. Take a look across the UP. We are going to see a little bit of everything. We're going to start over in Sault Ste. Marie with 13 degrees, Manistee with 12, 11 in Escanaba, down in Menominee with the 9. Take a look at the western half of the UP, 6 in Iron Mountain, 0 over in Ironwood. Up in Keweenaw, Houghton with 7, and back here in Marquette, that 10 degrees and clouds out there. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Sunday, we're looking at a high of 20 degrees, a low of 12, and some clouds out there. Monday with a high of 23, a low of 12, partly cloudy. Tuesday, we're going to stay in those 20s with a high of 22 and a low of 17 with some snow. Well, we are getting a lot of snow falling last night especially, but I hear the Wildcats were not falling.
Yeah, that's right. They were the ones causing the other team to fall, actually. As Caleb said, the snow wasn't the only thing falling last night, as Saginaw Valley State fell to both Wildcats basketball squads at the Barrie Event Center. The women's Wildcats defeated SVSU 56-38, thanks in large part to a big third quarter in which they outscored the Cardinals 16-6. Darby Youngstrom and Taylor Hiddell led the Cats in scoring with 18 points and 10 points respectively. Aaron Hunkala, the Cats' top rebounder, fittingly led the team in rebounds with 12. The men's team would defeat SVSU in an 87-73 victory with Isaiah Johnson and Naba Eccles scoring a combined 45 points, Johnson with 23 and Eccles with 22. Following the victories, the women's team moved to 16-6 overall and 11-2 in GLIAC play, while the men improved to 13-8 overall with a conference record of 8-6. The Cats are back in action Saturday at the Barrie Event Center once again, with women's tip-off at 1 and men's at 3 as the teams take on Northwood. And the Wildcats hockey team takes the road this weekend against Alabama Huntsville. Following a split series with Bowling Green last weekend, the Cats look to use that momentum from a win Saturday night in this upcoming series against Huntsville tomorrow night and today. The Cats enter tonight with a record 14-13 overall with a WCHA record of 13-7. They are currently seated in 4th place in WCHA standings. Meanwhile, Alabama Huntsville sits in 8th position in WCHA standings with a 6-23-1 overall record and a conference record of 6-15-1. Puck drop is slated for 7 p.m. tonight, while tomorrow's game gets underway at 4:30. And finally, NASCAR revs into action this weekend as drivers prepare for the annual Daytona Speed Weeks, which culminates in the Daytona 500 next Sunday. The Monster Energy Cup Series drivers get their first taste of on-track activity and practice sessions held tomorrow for Sunday's qualifying session, as well as the Clash and exhibition event made up of all pole-winning drivers from last season. Sunday afternoon will feature both qualifying and the Clash. Qualifying, which will determine first and second place starters and starting positions for next Thursday's qualifying races that set the rest of the field, will start at 12 with coverage provided by Fox. Fans will want to switch over quickly to Fox Sports 1 at the conclusion of qualifying as the Clash takes the green flag on that channel shortly after 3 p.m. And that's all the time we have for you this week on Public Eye News. Make sure to come back on Monday, same time, same place. We'll see you then for more news.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resource